Well, Steve, I guess just kind of what do you make of the team that you guys have put together here?
I mean, it's still hard to tell. I mean, and I don't want to deflect the question because they haven't been here long enough for me really to fully evaluate them and get them in a team setting. Obviously, we're still missing Left Terrace, and he's in Greece still because of the student visa ban that President Trump has. But what I've seen thus far is that, you know, they all work very hard. We can shoot the ball better this year thus far, it seems like to me. But we haven't gotten into competitive situations yet, so it's, you know, the jury's a little bit still out.
Is there a time you're hoping Lutz gets over here? Is there a timeline for that kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly initiated the help of the government here in the state of Oklahoma, and they've reached out to Washington and beyond, and so they're trying to help, but who knows? Who knows?
I know it's fairly new, but what do you think about the settlement that happened Friday night?
I think it's here, right? So why would we not embrace it? I mean, this has been a long time coming. I've said it from day one that there's a lot of money that is made in college athletics, and for the students to be able to share in that, there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to. Now, with all that being said, I think we've still got some issues to work out and some nuances to work out, but I'm sure that, you know, the powers that be will figure out that. But I'm sure that there's more to come with all of this. There's going to be more change.
What do you think the players feel about it as well? I mean, getting a double payday, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they're loving it. I mean, you get a scholarship and you get paid for, you know, being a great athlete or you know, being on a collegiate basketball team. So I don't see the downside of it for them, right? I mean, it's a pretty good deal. I'd like to go back and be in college if I were them.
I'm going to guess not every guy is making the same amount. Pros know that. When they're in a locker room in the NBA, they know what everybody's making, and they generally realize who deserves it. Do you have to deal with that? I mean, do you have to ask your guys to be mature about their business?
Well, I mean, not to get too deep into the details, I mean, there's a do not disclosure agreement with all of these guys, so they shouldn't be sharing that information. Whereas in the NBA and professional sports, your contract is readily available to anyone that has Google, right? So with that being said, just like in professional basketball or baseball or hockey, I mean, there's guys that are making good money and sitting on the bench, right? My job is to make every decision based upon what's best for Oklahoma State and helping us win basketball games. So, you know, the person next to me may be able or may be making money and maybe making more money than the person on my left, but if they can't help us win, they're not going to play. That's the bottom line. And when you address that and embrace that in the recruiting process, I don't think you have nearly as many issues, right? Because I'm certainly meeting that issue head on when we're recruiting them.
How do you deal with coach-player relationships when there's situations maybe where a player may be making more than an assistant coach?
It's not the player's fault, right? I mean, that's where we're at in this day and age in college athletics. And if, in my opinion, if you're an assistant coach and you're worried about what the player is making versus what you're making, then you're probably thinking about the wrong things, right? As an assistant coach, your focus needs to be to do everything in your power to help that young person become the best they can be, so that we can have the best team that we can have, and then win basketball games. All that other stuff, you know, it's not the main thing, right? You have to keep the main thing the main thing. I hired you to do a job as an assistant coach, not to worry about what other players make.
Similar to last year, you had to build almost an entire roster this year as well, but you had more time to do it. What are some of the main differences in putting this roster together in year 2 versus year 1?
Yeah, I'd like to think that we took less risk and we were more diligent, and we had more time to investigate, and we had more time to vet who we are and were recruiting. And I think that that's going to pay dividends down the road, right? I think that, you know, we've got a good group, and that's not to say that last year's group wasn't a good group. I think that they gave us everything that they had. I thought that they played the right way and they represented Oklahoma State well, but our bottom line is not to go to the NIT. Our bottom line is to go to the NCAA tournament. That's what I was hired for, and that's what the administration and the boosters and the fans and the university expects. So we had a much longer process of investigating and vetting players that fit our system and fit our program and fit our culture. And I think that will certainly prove at the end of the year to have, value.
Were there any challenges trying to put a roster together while also trying to bring in 2 new assistants, and how do the relationships work there?
Yeah, not really. I mean, you're gonna lose assistant coaches each year, while we're really sad to lose both those guys because they're both great coaches and they're great family men and great friends. Recruiting's recruiting. Your challenges come in recruiting and finding the right people at the right time that fit your culture and your system and that you can afford, right? I mean, because it's a balancing act with what the player thinks they deserve versus what you're able to offer.
You obviously played Green Bay last year, and you get to see Anthony play. I mean, obviously you're not thinking back then, hey, he's going to be a Cowboy by this time next year, but what did you see from him going back and being able to see him in person?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony's always been able to score the basketball. No matter where he's been, no matter where he's played, he's always been able to score the ball at a high level. He certainly did that for Green Bay in the short time that he was able to play for them. So now we've just got to channel that into the way that we want to play and get him to fit the system and play within the system. But it's certainly a feather in your cap to have somebody that can score the ball at that rate.
You got a lot of scores with a lot of the transfers, and a lot of guys can really put the ball in the hole. How do you get them to mesh and work together? And I guess that's an important part of building that chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of coaching, right? I'd rather have a team full of guys that can score and a team full of guys that are athletic and good people versus the other option, right? I'd rather have to, maybe allow, or not allow, but I'd rather have to get guys to take maybe a little lesser role than to try to overachieve. And we were trying to be cognizant with, addressing some of our scoring issues from last year's team and not having that this year. So every player that was recruited here was told the same thing, that we're not promising you anything, that the best players will play, and those that can help us achieve the goals of winning the Big 12 and going to the NCAA tournament, they're going to play. So no one comes in here with any agenda that's any different than any of their teammates. And again, as far as I'm concerned, if you can get ahead of that in the recruiting process, it shouldn't prove to be an issue during the season.
I know you're still learning these guys physically. They're all kind of learning how to get that chemistry and mesh in. Have you found any guys that lead? I mean, because you always have to have some players that step out and they're the first guy in line, so to speak. Have you found some of those?
Yeah, again, we really haven't gotten into team workouts. It's all been individual workouts last week and this week. So we'll start team workouts next week, and I'll have a better answer for you there. But thus far, there's been 5 or 6 guys that have tried to organize open gyms, tried to lift their teammates up when times are tough in the individual workouts, or maybe when they're struggling, which is a good thing. But no one has emerged thus far as what you're referencing.
You got a unique event going on that's here with the NBA Finals and the Thunder. Have you had some group for some of the games, watching the games? I mean, do you sense the guys get together and watch those?
Well, everybody's gonna come over to my house tomorrow night, and we're gonna watch the game. So we'll have food and swim and play cornhole and those sorts of things. So we try to utilize the summer as opportunities to bond and get to know one another. Obviously, we've got a lot of new faces that are coming from a lot of different areas, and so this is one of the opportunities for us to do that. But I mean, I don't think that there's a guy on the team that doesn't recognize the fact that an hour away we've got an opportunity to win an NBA world title this year. And when you go to those games, it's phenomenal. It's a great atmosphere. The fans are fantastic, and those guys are fully aware of that.
On that note, season tickets are available for a couple more days. What's your message to the fans about the product and what you're?
Yeah, that's the best question yet. I mean, here's my thoughts. I mean, I go to the Thunder games, and they're wonderful. And those guys play hard, they play defense, they share the ball, they play the right way, and the people in Oklahoma absolutely adore them, as they should. But our team did very much the same thing last year. We gave you everything we had, we played hard, we played the right way, we shared the ball, we dove on the floor when there was a ball that was loose. we need the same support here in Stillwater that is in Oklahoma City. We're going to put a better product on the floor next year for the fans and for the state, but we need people to come support it. And if we can support the Thunder, we can certainly support the Cowboys.
You brought in a lot of offensive firepower, and the summer, like you said, is not for team workouts. But how do you gauge the defensive side, and how do you plug them into your system? Because you and Oklahoma State, very defensive oriented.
Yeah.
Or is that something that comes in the fall?
No. That's going to come this summer. Again, kind of once we get into some team workouts and employ some team concepts defensively, I'll be able to tell you more. But the thing that I think right off the bat that jumps out about this team is really, other than maybe at the point guard position, we're longer and bigger across the front. Now, we don't have a 6'11" or a 7'1" or 7'2" guy rim protector, but your 2s, 3s, and 4s are all bigger and longer, which is different. It will be much different than we had last year. And when you have bigger, longer bodies, that allows you to cover more ground defensively. With this team, to me, in my mind, I'm kind of using the summer to decide, okay, well, if you can score the ball better, right? Do you have to be quite as aggressive in extending your defense up the floor in the half court? That's yet to be determined. Last year we had to create opportunities on the defensive end through turnovers, through steals, and through getting to the free throw line for us to score. If we're able to score it better, sometimes you can dial it back a little bit, just in terms of your denying of the ball and extending your defense out so far.
You have a handful of players who didn't have a complete season last year because of injury or some other reason. How hungry do you think those guys will be to get started again and have a full season?
Yeah, no, I think all those guys are extremely hungry, and I know that those guys have been spending an enormous amount of time in the gym here in the 2 weeks that they've been here. So it's evident, we just got to make sure that, knock on wood, we don't have those same injuries and we don't have those same mishaps. So we need them for the entire season at 100%.
How special was it to retain Robert Jennings?
Oh, great. Yeah, to retain he and Millie, right? Both those guys were fantastic teammates. They bought into what we were trying to do. And to be honest with you, there's other guys that wanted to stay, and it didn't work out for one reason or another. This transfer portal is so fluid. It allows them so much freedom. They ended up leaving for whatever reason to fulfill their needs and their wants. But no, for those two guys to say, hey, I want to come back and I want to prove to everyone that we can get to the NCAA tournament, just shows a lot about their character.
Andre came in late and dealt with back injury, and as the year progressed, he saw some more playing time towards the end of the year. Through year one, how have you seen him progress at this level?
Yeah, I thought from probably January, February on, he certainly improved, and I thought that he gave us as good a look in practice as he possibly could. And it's funny, you have Ben and Mackay, the other two freshmen, both in the post with him, and he's light years ahead of them right now. And when you come in late like he did, it's just so hard. And he had no idea what he was walking into. He had no idea how fast and physical and athletic these guys were going to be. Just because he probably didn't have the wherewithal nor the international experience. And to me, that's a big difference between he and Lefteris, right? Lefteris has played internationally for years, and he's played at a really, really high level for years. So he'll have hopefully a much easier transition.
What's the off season like for you? Self-reflection or whatever it might be in year one here and preparing for year two.
I don't know, when did the season end, and we started right back in it. You always self-reflect. I self-reflect during the season as well, because you're always trying to figure out ways that you can enhance the program, you can be better, and myself included. Kind of at the end of the season, each of us will collect our thoughts, and then I ask them to provide those thoughts to me, and then we'll sit down and talk through them, and then we'll try and decide, okay, what's the best plan moving forward? Because certainly from from a defensive efficiency standpoint, I thought we were much better as the year went on. But from an offensive efficiency standpoint, we've got to be much better. We're not going to be able to have a chance to win the Big 12 and go to the NCAA tournament at the current rate offensively that we were. So, you know, you're always trying to tweak it. You're always trying to get better, but the bones of it is not going to change. We're going to fight, and we're going to defend, and we're going to rebound, and we're going to play hard. And then we'll have some more freedom offensively, and that comes with having a little more offensive talent as well.
Knowing well that those of us that cover don't know as much as those that coach, we all like to look at a roster, and when I've looked at it, I've tried to look at, okay, who really needs to hit out of the guys that are here? And one that I have is Persifala. How's he looked in individual? I mean, I just look at him and think he could be a catalyst.
Yeah, I mean, Parsons has been great. You asked a little bit about the leadership, and he's been one of those guys that's tried to lead. As he's an infectious personality. He doesn't ever have a bad day when he walks in the room. He brings the energy level up. He adds to the room, and he's been great. He's got to get in a little better shape right now, but you know, we expect big things from him. But I'm telling you, I really think that there's going to be a lot of competition along that front line. I really do, because you know, those two freshmen, man, they don't know what they're doing yet, but there's a lot of talent and there's a lot of ability. And then, like you say, Millie's coming back for his second year, and so he's light years ahead of where he was last year.
When we look at the Big 12, we know how tough it is. What are you looking at of non-conference? How's that non-conference schedule coming?
Yeah, good question. We've got one game probably left to schedule, and we're scheduling to be in the NCAA tournament and scheduling to have a good seat. You know, in year one, I think that we basically took the schedule that was left over and we added a few here and there to it. But right now, with what we've scheduled, we'll have enough opportunities to schedule ourselves in the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid. I think I counted it up today, and quad 1 and quad 2 opportunities that are available on our current schedule. If you just kind of go over a 5-year average, I think we've got 22 quad 1 and quad 2 games. And obviously you guys don't have privy to it, but I've seen our schedule in the Big 12. We'll have some really good home games.
Do you like the fallback in number of conference games?
To 18?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't really ask me, to be honest with you, but yeah, no.
They didn't ask the coaches.
No, they did.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They did.
Yeah.
No, it gives us more scheduling flexibility. And what I mean by that is,
Conference is such a grinder.
yeah, but different programs are in different spaces, right? And when you come into year 2, you can schedule a little more aggressively. Whereas, and I'm just going to use West Virginia as an example, you know, they're another new coach in the last 2 years. So they're in a different space than, say, the University of Houston, who has everyone returning and will be a top 3 team in the country, right? So you have to schedule differently. And as to answer your question, you know, we talked about scheduling for the NCAA tournament. It allows us to do that, but it allows us to be a little more, it allows us to pick and choose a little bit better. You know, I mean, you can pick and choose your MTE that fits you rather than maybe, say, going to Maui or something like that.
Let's do maybe a couple more, and then
I probably know this question, or this answer at least already, but do you pay attention at all to your rating in the transfer portal when people rate?
I know, you know what? So obviously when this thing started, right, because we were able to sign those 4 guys quickly, you know, you get sent messages or screenshots of, hey, you have the #1 portal recruiting class and all that kind of stuff. Now, what you have to understand is that we signed 4 really quickly, and they are good players. But over the next month, everybody signs really good players in this league. So I don't know where we ended up. But again, I think that we did a much better job in the portal this year than in the previous year, just as an overall fit for us.
You're in top 25 nationally. How
Okay,
about that?
well, I mean,
Okay, I won't tell you the
yeah.
number, but there you go.
okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's what we want, right? Isn't that what we all signed up for? Again, you know, when you talk to the administration and upon being hired in the spring, I mean, the goal is to go to the NCAA tournament. The goal is not to go to the NIT. And I thought, again, that the NIT is a great tournament and was great for our basketball team. because we got to finish on a high note, and those guys got to play for a postseason. Some of them had never done so. But this year, our goal has to be go to the NCAA tournament, and it has to be that way moving forward.
You talked about, getting to put your own schedule together, and you feel more confident and less risks in putting your roster together. Do you feel more comfortable going into year 2, or is it just a different level of pressure?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, sure, you feel more confident only in that it's you've already been through it before, right? But like, we haven't been to Hilton Coliseum, so that'll be new, right? I'm assuming we'll end up there this year. So there's going to be some newness, right? But when you get hired on April 5th and you try to put a team, and you do put a team together in a short order, in a short amount of time, it's tough. It's just tough. With that being said, we were able to get the bulk of this team put together quicker, which allowed you to reflect a little bit more and probably be a little more choosy in who you brought in with those last spots, right? And so that part has allowed us to reflect more and hopefully be smarter about some of the choices here at the end. So it never slows down. Men's basketball, we've created a monster. It's 365 days a year for the most part. But I do feel that we're in a better position on June, 9th or 10th today? 10th today, than we were on June 10th last year. I certainly believe that.